Man, you need to buy yourself a gun. What? Gun? What? Like a handgun for personal protection. If somebody tries to mug you. What? What if your government tries to throw you in a can? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. Oh. What? An automatic rifle and a lot of ammo. Gun?
Boys and girls, it is Tuesday. We are live. This is PrimerTime on UCY.tv. My name is Michael, and I am not in the cahoots with the Soviets.
My name is Nicholas, and I do not steal Gun Scout or Boy Scout rifles.
Nick, this is a horrible situation. And actually, let's bring on our guest right now. Right now, we have Jeff Doty from the Mountaineer Area Council of the Boy Scouts of America. Jeff, welcome to PrimerTime. We're honored to have you.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
No problem. What I'm going to start off with is we're going to go ahead and drop a little bit of information. We have a live chat that follows our show, so I'm going to go ahead and drop a story from the Dominion Post, which is local to you, and it's basically lays out the story about what happened. So why don't you go ahead and fill us in?
Great. Well, a week ago today, I got a phone call from our camp ranger, one of our volunteers who had been working on some guns, who also helps with our shooting sports programs at camp, called, and when he went to take back the guns to camp, he noticed that the door had been broken wide open, and there was a safe missing, and there were four, and in the safe there were 10 single shot 22 rifles, and there were also four of the, I can't remember which ones they were, but they're air pellet rifles, and each of them had an ice case and kind of a high-end pellet rifle that somebody had donated to us for the kids, for the Cub Scouts to do BB gun program, and that was a little bit of a shock. My first reaction when he called was, first of all, why were the guns there? They're not usually held in that particular site year round. But they had been doing a shooting program recently, and I think at the end of the day, he took the ones home that he was going to work on, and then because sometimes scouts, just like everybody else, can be a little bit hard on the guns, so he takes them home and fixes them up and brings them back. And when he brought them back and was going to put them away for permanent storage in an undisclosed location elsewhere, that's when he found out that somebody had chiseled their way in through the door and had seen the two safes in there and checked that they could tell that one of them was empty, but the other one was full. They probably had no idea what was in it, which is why they wasted their time taking the single shot rifles and they made off with it. And we don't know exactly when, but we know that it was within probably a 36 to 48 hour period. We're guessing it was probably about 3 a.m. in the morning, and that they probably came in onto the property from a back way, probably through the woods on an old abandoned road, most likely in either an ATV or four-wheel drive or gator, something that would, something that would be able to haul the weight of the safe away. And that's all we really know about that, other than the fact that, luckily they didn't know enough about our operation that they would know where we would ordinarily store all of our guns. We have a lot of 12 gauge and 20 gauge shotguns. We have some handguns, and we also have we had 10 single shots, and then we have 5 more, and then we have a whole bunch of BB guns, and then we have all the ammunition that goes with it, and those are in an undisclosed location elsewhere. But they got that, and that was a little bit of a shock to us. We when I visited the site the next day, took the picture, I posted it on Facebook. There's been an overwhelming response. People who've just been outraged by, why would anybody do this to our scouts? And a lot of donations, a lot of shares of the Facebook post. We've had over 1,300 shares of the Facebook post. Obviously, the Dominion Post saw the Facebook post. They did a story in the paper. We included the serial numbers because we had all those records, so that if any of the local pawn shops or anybody else got wind of those particular guns, if they turned up, then people would know to call the authorities on them. And we intend to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law if they're able to apprehend them. And
Jeff, were you able to have any kind of surveillance on the property, whether like somebody that maybe lives not far from it, or do you happen to have some cameras?
Our Boy Scout camp is located 8 miles south of Morgantown, West Virginia. It's up on a mountain. We have over 1,000 acres of property, and we have a full-time ranger on site. But like I said, it's a big property. He drives around regularly and looks at everything. But unless you get out of the truck and walk right over to the rifle range, you're not going to notice that. And he's been busy with so many other projects. And frankly, we've never had anything like this ever happen. And in the 60 years of the camp's history, nobody remembers anything like that ever happening. Our culture has always been that we have a very open camp, and everybody's trusting. It's a rural area. It's it's West Virginia. It's not something that you have happen to you every day. This kind of thing. And so that's why we're shocked. If anybody had driven by in the main entrance where the ranger lives, they would have seen it. Between him and his family, they keep a really close watch on the people coming in. There's also a back gate entrance. Great neighbors with they have a gate and a lock and everything, and they watch the back gate. But there are other ways to get into the camp.
It's not a fortress, so it's
no.
You can get in if you want to get in.
Right. The good thing that's come out of this is that with the donations, by the way, thanks to both of you, Nick and Michael, for your generous donation. We've had other folks that have made some good donations to help us.
If you could give out Margie and Stacy's number again, and anybody who's out there, I'd appreciate that, because this is something that it really just burnt me when I read it in the morning. And actually, I ended up posting it on Reddit, and it generated a fair amount of response. I don't know if anybody from there donated, but it just really just irked me. And like you were saying earlier in kind of our previous talk, there was a lot of discussion as to whether or not it was an inside job or anything. And I really don't think so. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't ring like an inside job. And, we're facing a real scourge in this nation with things like methamphetamine and lots of heavy duty pharmaceutical drugs. And
Jeff, can you give us a little bit in terms of how many scouts your program actually assists and get out into the woods? What are you looking at as far as the overall impact to the number of scouts that are now without an opportunity to go shoot?
Well, we have about 1,500 kids in our council that we serve throughout the year. At the end of the year, we had exactly 1,256 registered, I think is what the number was. But over the course of a year, we'll serve over 1,500. And, we have hundreds of kids come to our camp over the summer. We have 250 people come in the spring and in the fall again for Cub Scout weekends. We have 7 full weeks of summer camp in the summer. So, we're talking major usage with hundreds of kids. And, we'll get back on our feet. People, like I said, have been very, very giving, and we're very grateful for that. Our kids are going to still get a good program, thanks to all of the generosity of the folks. Obviously we do have some more things that we want to do. We're replacing we're replacing the door with a much heavier metal door. We're having to replace the gun safes. We're having to replace the guns. We're having to replace, and just clean up the area and fix the siding. They ripped half the siding off on that side of the building. Like I said, they had to chisel their way in. It wasn't an easy task. They had to be there over an hour, just knocking the hell out of the building to do it. But like you said, anybody that wants to support our Mountain Area Council or shooting sports program, the easiest way is call our office, the Mountain Area Council Boy Scout office at 304-366-3940. Now, the office is open 8:30 to 5 Eastern time. And Margie or Stacy, the ladies that work in the office, they'll be happy to take your donation over the phone with a credit card if you'd like. Or you can always look up Mountain Area Council on the internet. We're macbsa.org, and that'll give you our address, which is 1831 Speedway Avenue in Fairmont, West Virginia, 26554. And you can always send a check the snail mail way if you want. It is tax deductible. Whatever you give to the Mountain Area Council is a tax deductible donation.
Okay. So sorry to interrupt, Jeff. One more thing. We've got the population that your council serves. Let's talk a little bit about square miles, because I live not very far away from West Virginia. It's a sister state. During the War of Rebellion, kind of broke apart a little bit, or as we like to say, the War of Northern Aggression.
Yeah, we like to say West Virginia is the best Virginia, by the way.
Oh, sounds like North Korea to me.
Yeah, we do have the best. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say we have the best moonshine in all of.
We will give you that. You guys do have that.
Yeah.
I drove through West Virginia one time, and I will have to say it was incredibly gorgeous country. It was impressive. And something else, I appreciated that every gas station that I stopped at, or in that area, they had like a certain bottle of strawberry wine that I brought back with just to everybody. It was like the greatest stuff in the world.
That's cool.
So you guys are actually located like in the tri-state area, close to both Pennsylvania and Maryland.
Actually, we are. We're in north central West Virginia. Fairmont is located 18 miles south of the Mason-Dixon line, I might add. And it's a neat little town. Our major city is Morgantown, the home of West Virginia University. Go Mountaineers! Hence our name, the Mountain Area Council. And we serve 4 counties in West Virginia: Monongalia County, Marion County, Preston County, and Taylor County. And like you said, right up in the corner next to Pennsylvania and Maryland. It's a beautiful area of the state. We have both the hills and the mountains of West Virginia in our council.
So it sounds like the absolute best place for you to take scouts to go out and do scout-like activities.
Yeah, it's a great place. And, we're serving, we have a lot of suburban kids in Morgantown, but we have a lot of rural kids. And, scouting teaches values. You're not going to get that in any other program. Statistics
Scouting teaches the values that prevent this from happening.
Right.
That's the thing that kills me about the whole.
Yeah, and that's the thing that got us too. It's like that was very unscout-like. We we can't imagine any of our scouts having done that. It's I think that the thing of it is that if anybody has been to our camp, they know a little bit more about how we operate and everything, and they probably would have known that there probably wasn't. It was just dumb luck that they were able to find any guns at all, to be honest. It was just one of those fluke things that just happened. But it's not going to happen again. We do have some folks that are going to help us with some more security measures. It's sad that we have to do this, but we're going to put up cameras all over the place. It's going to be a very heavily monitored area, just to make sure that these things don't happen again.
Well, I mean, I think that what this demonstrates is these are prudent measures for you to take in light of your experience, and
Right.
best thing is giving the kids an opportunity to get out there, do what they need to do, get the instruction in firearm safety like you were talking about earlier, and
Right.
and really make it something that's probably going to be more memorable. I know just before the show you were talking about a scout who was kind of like an exchange coming from Germany. This is a place that
Yeah.
I'm very, very familiar with, having lived there for 5 years. And go ahead and relay that to us.
Yeah, we had. I think his family's is in the military, and this young scout had come to Camp Mountain Air last summer, and like so many of our scouts, the first time they've ever gotten to shoot a gun is at camp. The first time they learn the gun safety, the first time they hit the targets and all that, and it becomes a very special thing for these kids. And this particular boy saw it on Facebook. He was so moved that he called his grandfather, who's a retired doctor in Florida, and asked him to call into the office and make a donation for $100. The kid had saved $100, and he wanted to give it to us to help make sure that we bought more guns for camp for this summer. And that kind of moved me a lot. I couldn't believe it. It was very touching, and then if you were to see some of the Facebook posts that the folks had put on there, like one of our Boy Scout troops had done a service project helping clean the guns after our spring camporee where, kids got to shoot guns all day. And, they put a picture of that. These were the guns, just a month and a half ago, we had such a great time with them. And you could tell they were really moved by it. It's like I said, this is the first time a lot of kids ever get to do anything like that. And we have an awesome rifle range. We have just a state-of-the-art shotgun range, and our archery range is pretty cool too. And these kids get to come out there and they get to experience something that where else are kids going to be able to go to be able to do those types of things? There are no other organizations in our area that offer those opportunities, especially for kids that come from single-parent households, and mom's a single mom, and she doesn't have time to take them out. And maybe there's not a grandpa or somebody.
Well, and beyond this being like a fun opportunity for kids, this is probably some of the most valuable education in today's society that kids can have. I mean, this is probably their first positive experience with a firearm. I mean, considering the amount of just garbage that's fed to our children, through the media and everything, you guys are really making a huge dent. A massive blow in the battle for our beloved firearms rights and really the culture that we stand for. And man, it just burnt me when I saw this. So
for the record, we are a nonpartisan organization, but we do heavily agree with that we believe that it's an important thing to teach our kids these gun safety. And frankly, it's a great opportunity for our kids just to do things that they wouldn't get to do anywhere else. Whether it's shooting the gun, whether it's riding our quarter-mile zip line, or going out in the kayaks or the paddle boards at camp. Where else are they going to get to do all those things? And the shooting sports is such a big part of what we do.
Jeff, how many Eagle Scouts has your council churned out, over the last couple of years?
Well, as a small council, statistically nationwide, about 6% of all scouts become an Eagle Scout. And so what that means is that we do, in our 4-county area, we're churning out probably 25 to 30 every year.
So these are 25 to 30 kids who are leaders in their community who, they undertake a very large project as part of their Eagle Scout program. I mean, these are mostly public service type events, right?
Exactly. And I think, and it's kind of cool, where we live, to be able to walk anywhere. We have all these rail trails from where all the old the railroads went for the coal mines, and which are mostly closed in our area. But and that's a whole other story, isn't it? But it's really cool when you go there and you see these really cool benches, and you look on it, and it says the kid's name, and that it was his Eagle Scout Service project, and it is a lasting impact on our community. You go to the Valley Falls State Park, one of the most beautiful state parks you'll ever go to, by the way. And at Valley Falls, there's all sorts of rock walls and benches and different things that scouts have done to help make the park, a lasting impact on the park for all to enjoy. And that's what our kids are doing. And it's kind of a neat thing. And in the process, this is the most important part of it. It's great that they're doing the service, but in the process, they have recruited their friends and their dads and all sorts of folks in the community to come out and help them do it. They've given leadership to the project. They saw it through. It's like herding cats sometimes when you have other teenagers and you're trying to get them to do the project. And the fact that they've gone through that project, that's the kind of leadership training that's going to do very well for them as they go out into a career, and serve in the community. Those kids are going to be in a Rotary Club. They're going to do all sorts of things in the course of their lifetime to help make their community a better place. And, our shooting sports program is a big part of that. It's what attracts the kids, and it's what teaches them responsibility. And, they get to learn that, there's a lot more than just shooting a gun. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with it. And, and all of this, it really kind of hit home last week. And like I said, I think I told you when we talked on the phone last week that, for the first 6 hours, I was just mad. I mean, madder than I've been in a long time. It just sickened me. And then all of a sudden, the outpouring of support, and it really showed me that there is so much more good in the world than there are bad people, and that we have to make sure that we continue to remember that, and that we keep working for, keep up the good fight and keep working to make it a better place. And,
hopefully we'll be able to go ahead and get you a little bit more exposure. We put it out to our listening audience, and we put out the information for Stacy, and I think you said Margie in your office.
Uh-huh.
And not only that, but if you happen as a course of your business come in contact with somebody trying to sell this, do get in touch with the West Virginia State Police.
Right.
They're also out there looking for these jokers too.
Yep, that's right. Thank you very much. We sure appreciate the exposure and the opportunity to tell our story. And we thank you again for your support.
I have to thank you for the probably the greatest amount of responsibility I've ever seen taken was that you made sure that the serial numbers were published. Yeah. So that was very heartening for me. Yeah. I don't know, this may be something that you could pass on to somebody else, but there is a website called Hot Guns, www.hotgunz. And it's a totally voluntary thing. It is by no means comprehensive, but there are a fair number of people that look at that.
Nice.
It may be worth entering those into that.
Yeah, definitely. We'll take a look at that. We appreciate that.
No problem. Well, thanks, Jeff. We appreciate having you on. Michael, you want to send him on out?
Jeff, I appreciate it. Everybody, this has been Jeff Doty from the Mountaineer Area Council. Please give Margie or Stacy a call at 304-366-3940. Look these guys up on Facebook. Jeff, thank you very much. Best wishes in all this. I really hate that this happened, but I hope that there is a silver lining to this ugly cloud.
Well, I sure appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Jeff, good luck with everything. Thanks, man.
All right. Take care.
All righty. So, yeah, I mean, that's a heck of a kick in the junk to basically come back, expecting to be able to have the scout property still there, and then see that somebody with the less morals of a snake go out there and do what they did to harm, these kids and their opportunities out there in the woods.
I usually don't get choked up over stuff or anything like this, but this story just really, really irked me. And I spent a good deal of time like knocking it about when it happened, and it really kind of like even irked me even more that why did this have to happen on a Wednesday? Because we had just done the show the night before when
Oh yeah, we would have been able to get that out a week earlier.
Right, like fresh on it, and it just but I mean it was just in this time that was just like an assault on our culture that I just didn't need, man. And I mean, I know a lot of people don't agree with the Boy Scouts, this, that, or the other, but in the end, they're working for the betterment of the children, preserving an ideal. It may be an old-fashioned ideal or something, but I mean, it's something that somebody believes in, and they're actually doing something about it. So I mean, I've got to have. Damn, that made me mad.
Well, give it time, and hopefully hopefully law enforcement out there will do what they do and catch up with these guys, and hopefully we'll not only be able to bring those guys to justice, but we'll also be able to recover the rifles and get those scouts back on their feet and get them back on the range where they belong.
Yeah, I mean, it's so rare anymore that kids actually get, like I kind of mentioned that, a positive exposure to firearms. They see nothing but news stories of, whatever goes on in Chicago and then, whatever kind of, nightclub gets shot up or whatever, and, massive media coverage of the negative aspect. And this is probably one of the very few times, if not the only time, that they get any kind of like, hey, this is exactly what this does. This I learned. I know what this is. I don't have to be afraid of it. And man, yeah.
Yeah. Well, guess what? We've had another celebrity death, somebody who was intimately involved with firearms throughout his career, and that would be Sir Roger Moore of the James Bond series. Interesting news flash this afternoon. I saw that he passed away aged 89, I believe. And talk about somebody who was synonymous and as part of doing a lot of things with firearms in the course of film and movies. James Bond is
he was more of a Walter PP guy, right? Like
right.
Connery used a PPK or a PPS, and I think Roger Moore used a PP, and I think it was just because he was bigger. I think the pistol looked similar in their hands.
Well, check this out. There's an interesting story from the San Jose Mercury News, one of the newspapers that is where I used to live at back in the day. It basically goes on to state that Roger Moore, although he was a Bond, he was very reluctant to be around firearms, and then ultimately decided that he didn't like them at all. He just said, simply put, I don't like guns. He claimed that he had been shot by a BB gun while he was a child, and that really shaped his opinion. Talking about kids who got shot with a BB gun, I am a member of that club. And
I'm a member of that club.
Yeah. So, I also put it that it's not the firearm that did the pulling of the trigger. The gun didn't go off. It was somebody was behind that and did it. So, I think that folks who kind of just scoff at the idea of a firearm, being just a tool in essence, they kind of turn it into this sinister being that does the damage when it's really not.
Well, it's this extension of this fear porn and this almost Goebbels-esque tactic of you keep on repeating the lie. And we see it with everything. I mean, look, I'm not in dudes with the Russians, totally.
Yeah, I did not hack an election.
I did not kill Seth Rich.
Yeah. So take this out. Yesterday, very late in the evening, we got report from United Kingdom in Manchester. There was a concert being held, primarily the target audience being teens and their mothers or people who were going to accompany these teens. 22 killed and about 60 injured so far that they have numbers on. And we're talking the youngest victim being about 8 years old. And of course, the cursory, statement of responsibility comes out from ISIS that this is one of theirs. But what's a little bit more disturbing to me is that this is an individual that was on a watch list once again. That law enforcement in the United Kingdom were. This is not a lone wolf. This is a known wolf. And in light of that, Guns N' Roses has decided to beef up their security for their Ireland concert in response to this attack in Manchester. So Guns N' Roses now with more guns.
Well, that's kind of interesting because Axl Rose has always been somebody who's kind of been with the flow, so to speak, of what the common wisdom in Hollywood is, and very much a trend hopper. So find it interesting that he needs the security now.
That's one of the things a lot of people don't realize is Axl Rose is a former soldier with the Army, 1st Battalion, 32nd Armor. He wears that tattoo on his arm, although he did get bounced out. So, after a while, people kind of like, hey, whatever. It's got a catchy motto, victory or death. So,
I'm not one to knock out fat people because I've had like battles with weight, which by the way I'm doing really good with right now. I'm almost within 10 pounds of the fighting weight. So
no, I'm more than 10 pounds beyond my fighting weight, and that's why I have a really good fighting trigger.
That's what I got the same thing. Why need to run? I own 2 trucks.
Yeah, exactly. As an armor soldier, as what we call a heavy division soldier, which I've been a member of a couple heavy divisions in the U.S. Army. I look at those guys who are airborne infantrymen, and about 30 seconds after they exit the aircraft, they're on the ground. They're looking for a ride, and while here I come rolling around in my armored vehicle, saying, "You know what? Hop on, boys! I got lots of free diesel."
Yeah, I'm not too big into the trucking it around like that. That's just it's hard on my knees anymore.
Walking is work.
I taken a couple of good shots to the knees and hips in my day, and I'm telling you, it's not. As I get older, I feel the pain, and that's not something I'm looking forward to doing.
Yeah. So it was interesting. So that's I just wanted to drop that out there.
I did see that in California, in the Los Angeles County area, there was another gun buyback.
Yes.
And once again,
how did it work out?
Well, the standard question is how many rocket launchers did they keep off the streets, right? Rocket launchers, because that's what the Crips are using, right? They're either using like Lorsons with like, steel cased 380 that might be, a couple years old or something, or it might not even be 380, whatever just fits in there, or it's a rocket launcher, like there's this great big divide. Well, once again, what kind of rocket launcher do you think it was, Nick?
I'm thinking I'm going to go with the Commando M202 4-barrel rocket launcher.
Negative, sir.
Damn.
Negative.
At some point, somebody is going to bust into a gun store, just like what happened in the movie, and walk off with one of those.
Because every gun store's got like a secret back room with rocket launchers, and actually at Walmart is where you can buy like your RPGs.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the secret menu at In-N-Out Burger or something.
Yeah.
So anyway,
somebody's going to get themselves an AT4.
That's exactly what it was. It was a Watt AT4, a Law rocket, one of the same. So I think the AT4 is the trainer that actually fires the 9mm, right?
No. So the AT4 can fire either the 84 millimeter round, or it can be it can be scaled down to fire the 9mm subcaliber round, which is just the trainer.
Right, and that's usually it fires a 9mm tracer, because the 9mm tracer basically mimics the path of what the rocket is. Is that correct? All right. So this is a single-use item. It's a disposable item. It's usually destroyed in the field, or it's returned. These are common. You can go to Gunbroker right now, and you could buy all of them if you have enough cash. and have them FedEx to your door. This is a toy. It's the equivalent of spent brass.
Yeah, one of the best things that Saab ever made, basically.
Did Saab? I thought Saab made the Bofors.
Well, Saab and Bofors are the company.
Yeah, but the Bofors isn't it a little bit different than the AT4?
Yeah, well, like I said, they're one and the same. They're kind of synonymous. Bofors actually made one of the grenade launchers on the AH-1 attack helicopter, the Huey, back in the day, as well as some of the other grenade launchers.
I think it would be just probably like walking through like 1,000 cans of silly string trying to find out who makes what for which army.
Exactly.
Same as this.
Well, speaking of who makes what mess, New Jersey police have put out in a lawsuit that Sig Sauer sold about $2 million worth of defective handguns to state police. What do you think of that?
I'm totally not surprised by that, and I'm going to guess this is Sig Sauer after they've moved to Exeter and gone through basically the same thing that Kimber went through. And I think it uses the same guy who was involved with Kimber actually went to Sig, and that's when like they really started experiencing a downfall in their quality. And that's like, the advent of items like the Sig Mosquito, which is a little 22 semi-automatic pistol, holds about 10 rounds. It's really not like a nice appearing weapon, but it's cast zinc, Zamac, whatever you want to call it, pot metal, and it had all kinds of problems. Basically it only ran with like CCI mini mags or stingers, and then you get about 2,500 rounds in the thing, and the slide would crack. So, it was like a disposable pistol. I don't even think Sig makes it. They kind of like bumped that off to GSG, and I think they call theirs now like the Firefly or something. But Sig has experienced a tremendous drop in quality in their high end items, and it kind of pains me because like some of the things that they made that were really, really nice, like the 226. You find like a 226 or a 228 that's got the made in W Germany stamp on it, and that thing is gold. But,
well, that's because there's no more W Germany. You know what I mean?
That's right. But I mean, there was a certain quality to stuff made in W Germany. I mean, and to be honest with you, there was a certain quality of stuff made in E Germany too.
There was, yeah. So check this out. In the Wayback File, federal agents have seized 8 Chinese students' firearms while attending University of Arizona. What do you think of that?
I'm not surprised. I'm totally not surprised, and I'll tell you why. I worked in the University District of the University of Arizona, and I was there when there was a massive influx of Chinese students. And I'll tell you what, they were all very, very enamored with things that have the potential to kill you.
Well, you go figure, right? Because it's not like they're not used to that over there.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with a pure fascination over something that they're denied at home, right? Because it doesn't just extend to firearms. It extends. They like. I'll tell you what. I went to an axe murder, and it was a Chinese student. This dude, he hacked up his girlfriend, and I'll tell you what. The axe he used was a brand new shiny axe that he had bought at Ace Hardware like the day before.
What we need is some common sense axe control.
Yeah, I think we got to quit letting in Chinese students that are kind of like a little bit off.
Well, they actually, you talk about Virginia Tech. They had the student who, was responsible for the largest shooting in nation's history up to that point. So yeah,
and you start looking at him. He was some kind of bullied student, wasn't he?
That was so long ago. We're going on 10 years now since then.
Right. And Tim Kaine kept bringing it up like it was yesterday.
Well, Tim Kaine, good old Tim Kaine. What can you say?
I think he's got his own agenda, and I think that agenda is not quitting. I keep an eyeball
certainly
on Twitter, and tell you what, they're still hot fired on gun control, no matter what kind of crumble is going on with with mayors against everything and moms against everything else, the fight is still there. And I think our saving grace on this is that they all wish to be the star of this play.
Oh yeah. They've got to be the one that brings down the house.
Everybody has to, and not just the person who authors the bill or the person who pushes the most. It's everybody from every talking head on TV has to be the one. And where our side is basically concerned about one thing. And I think that in the end, I think that's going to be the difference. And,
so go figure. So were you happen to talk about the, you mentioned the gun buyback. Where was yours that you referenced?
I was in Los Angeles.
Okay, so yeah, so I am looking at that. They claim 800 guns turned in, to which the mayor and the chief of police made sure to kind of grandstand in front of it. They said that 788 guns were turned in, no questions asked.
What side are you looking at?
So this is actually from the NBC Los Angeles. So this is
try and find the LA Times picture. I don't know if that one's got the picture of the table of what.
Yeah, this does. This has quite a few pictures actually. Not only does it have the obligatory picture of the chief of police with the service, stripes up to his elbows and the 4 stars on his collar, standing over a table with about 4 different kinds of AKs and then a couple of FALs. Going down the table, you look like you got a Kel-Tec rifle, you got a M16, you got a bad Mac 90, a couple other AKs, some older underfolders, and then an FAL and a couple of bolt guns. And then, then you got the obligatory handgun photos with the sawed-off double barrel shotgun, couple sawed-offs. And not only that, the sawed-off, you're looking from the underside of it, you could tell that the barrel was just like hacked at an angle. It's pretty much it's a weird hack job. Somebody with a little bit of a hacksaw and not a whole lot of time did that one.
I've seen a couple of these photos of these same sorts of publicity stunts, because that's really what it is. I got a feeling that these gun buybacks are not only just a publicity stunt, but there's a large amount of funding that comes in, because this doesn't come out of the taxpayers' pockets. This is private donations, and I think somewhere in the article from the LA Times it said that they ended up getting like $1 million grant or something for this, and out of this 800 guns at $200 a piece or whatever the hell it was, $250 for an assault rifle, blah blah blah. You start wondering, well, where the hell's the rest of that money? Because it comes out to be a good amount over $900,000 that's still outstanding.
Yeah. Well,
and honestly, I looked at that picture. I don't think anybody turned in any of those, quote unquote assault rifles.
Oh no, I don't think anybody let those go. I would be willing to bet that those came out of an evidence locker.
I would be willing to bet that cops brought those in from their house.
Yeah, probably. So we go from Los Angeles, the land of
New York Police Department was busted for doing the exact same thing like 3 or 4 years ago. They would have these massive gun buybacks, and look at this, we got this whole wad, this table full of all these gats that people turned in. Look at all these lives we're saving and keeping these off the streets and blah blah blah. And they kept doing this, and finally somebody was taking pictures of all this. Please photograph our glory.
Got some serial numbers.
Serial numbers. And he found out that the NYPD was using the same guns over and over and over again. And not only were they using the same guns over and over again, but these were guns that were actually purchased by the NYPD.
Go figure. Well, let's talk about somebody who did something right. And we're going to talk about Oklahoma Governor Mary Fallin, who has signed some legislation to allow military members to carry a handgun unlicensed, as well as to grant the carry of firearms on public buses. This is Senate Bill 35, and legislation goes into effect on November 1. And people serving in the military who are as young as 18 can obtain a handgun license. That's about 3 years earlier than the average.
Oh, I think this is interesting because Oklahoma also was one of the very first states to go with a constitutional carry. Is that correct?
I'd have to go back and take a look at that. But they've also, for the carry on the buses, Governor Fallon also signed Senate Bill 397, which lifted the prohibitions on carry of handgun on public buses, and this passed in the Senate 39-2. That's pretty overwhelming, and then 79-9 in the Oklahoma House. Um, I'm going to say there's not a whole lot of resistance there in Oklahoma to the open carrying of firearms and the carrying of pistols by our military members. I'm going to say that's good good on Oklahoma.
I find the public bus clause to be very interesting. That's something that's a place that's usually got a significant amount of pushback from private interests, private anti-gun interests.
Right. So basically, what this is it basically repeals a previous state law that carried a 10-year prison sentence and a $10,000 fine if the individual is carrying a concealed weapon on a bus and it was not law enforcement. So she's keeping people out of jail right there, and this is something that's a benefit in that state. People can go ahead and carry on their person and remain safe in their surroundings.
Well, it's decisions like this that really kind of like lead me to even more firmly believe than I've already, believed that the future is to small, concealable, significant caliber handguns. Hate to bring up SIG again, but they do make one product that's awfully nice, and the 938, and then they also make, a little brother to that, the 238, which basically the same thing as a Colt Mustang. And, Kimber's got a new offering they call theirs the Micro 9. They're very similar, very 1911 style packages in a very, very compact 9mm caliber. And, I see the future moving to that. I mean, Glock missed the boat by, 5 years, you think?
Probably.
They should have had that. They should have had that Glock 43 out a long time ago.
A long time ago, yeah. I mean, definitely. It's not like it's a great step forward compared to their previous offerings, right?
No, it's a redesign of a slide in a magazine. Slide magazine frame. It's just a reduction.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I find a lot of the decisions that are made by a lot of the corporate entities highly suspect.
Yeah, but you also got to take a look at who's pushing those marketing designs, because what it comes down to is marketing. A gun company is going to make a model that sells and continue to make it, whereas if they make a model that doesn't sell, that's not going to be on the market for very long. Well,
and then I want to know where some of like the brain power comes in. I'm gonna pick on Mossberg for a minute, but you take a look at that Mossberg lever action. I think they called it the 464, right? That was that tactical lever action. It had like, what is that T6 AR-15 looking stock on it. And it had rails and it was all black. Who thought that was a good idea?
Yeah, you got to get tactical, man.
I mean, that was one of the ugliest things. And that was like that's like the gun of the year being the same thing as before, except for this year it's in zombie green. There's no innovation anymore.
Yeah. Well, in the sense that some localities are looking at restricting gun rights, we're going to go start arming the Kurds again, according to the current president in office.
Well, I'll tell you what, according to Rodrigo Duterte in the Philippines, he's getting a whole bunch of guns from the Chinese for free for his national police. So,
I actually read a report right now that said he has declared martial law on the southern island of Mindanao.
and people make fun of Trump.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to know what's going on in a fascist state. Philippines has a lot of good examples.
Yeah, the Philippines is an interesting place right now. Wow.
I would not want to be selling drugs in the Philippines. No, sir.
And really the funny thing is a lot of the drugs that he's talking about in the Philippines, he's looking at methamphetamine and heroin as being his problem, because that's really what causes the ills of society is the opioids and the amphetamines. And well, where do you think a nation with a large manufacturing capability located very, very close to the Philippines would be? Well, pick a country, right? Well, that country, who happened to give them the free rifles, will never be targeted in his book, because reputedly the biggest manufacturer and distributor of meth in, I think it's, I don't know if it's in Manila or if it's the entire Philippines, is a Chinese national who dines regularly with him. So it's another sham.
Yeah. So I want to take you to Market Watch, which has a story published about 10 days ago, talking about the gun industry, while it rode its heyday under the Obama administration with record sales, has abruptly done a 180 and said basically that they've the bottom has dropped out of the market since Trump has took over. You're talking about companies like Ruger, gun companies that they're marketing companies that sell guns like Cabela's, talking that their stocks are coming down.
Well, I can believe that, because there's no great big overwhelming rush. And I mean, I can see that from the retail point. Like anybody takes a look at Palmetto State's ads, their daily deals have been insane for the past month.
And we're talking about Palmetto State, which on the regular was sold out of like springs and the detent pins and
anything that had
magazine
to do with
releases. Yeah, absolutely.
They were, and now you can. I mean, I saw a deal the other day. It was three of their slick side Freedoms, which is I think it was the Freedoms. It was whatever their bare bones basic AR-15 is, the one without forward assist and no sights or anything on it. It was three of those, 3 magazines for each rifle, and 3 lowers for $999.
Yep.
Right now, one of their deals, and it keeps on dropping in price. Like every time they repost it by about $50, is you can get a Palmetto State Freedom rifle and a Palmetto State made AK-47 with matching serial numbers for, like, I think the last time I saw it was $850.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, the way I look at it is, we may not have more people that are kind of doing panic buying and falling prey to the scare tactics, but probably what we do see is people that would be more inclined to go out and effect a purchase doing that, whereas probably before, they maybe would have just kind of put it off until legislation was going to be passed. You're seeing people who are more believing that the firearms are part of their life, and what you are seeing, I think, is you're seeing more minorities go out and do it, whether it's women, whether it's people of different colors, or
I'll tell you what,
the homosexual and transgender population.
I see a lot of husbands buying firearms for wives and daughters.
So now
that's what I see. A lot of it shows. I see a lot of spousal purchases.
Right. So if you're doing a spousal purchase, and this is a question that I think needs to be asked, because we have a lot of people that may not purchase firearms and may not do it. How do you legally purchase a firearm for somebody when you have to put on the 4473 that you were not doing this for anyone else?
I'm not talking about. Oh, like you mean like a gift?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know exactly what the legality of saying yes, I'm buying this as a Christmas. I don't even know how. I don't know how that goes. My advice is you just bought it for yourself. Just shut up about it. Just shut up about it. Don't write a letter to the ATF. Don't look at it. Don't touch it.
There you go. All right. Well, hey, Michael, we are burning midnight oil here. We got to get some rules of firearm safety out there.
All right. First rule of firearm safety is every firearm is loaded until you visually and physically inspect and ensure that it is not loaded. Rule number 2 is you keep the barrel pointed in a safe direction at all times. Do not cover anything you do not wish to destroy. Rule number 3 is know what's your target, know what is beyond your target at all times. And finally, the most important rule probably should be the 4th rule, but we give it, or the 1st rule, but we give it to the 4th because it's dramatic. And let's be saying, keep the booger hook off the bang switch until you're ready to discharge the weapon. There are no accidental discharges; they are only negligent. So don't do it. Hey, let me give this number out again one more time. It's the Mountaineer Area Council, and the number is 304-366-3940. Ask for Margie or Stacy, and throw a couple bucks their way. And if you're in the picking up the phone and calling and throwing a couple bucks their way, get on the UCY PayPal and throw a couple bucks at Jewel. Man, she puts in a hell of a lot of work and takes a big chunk out of her life. Give us a platform to, well, honestly, you and I get to rant about our favorite stuff every once in a while. So
that's good business in my book.
So what you got planned for the next week?
So the next week, I am going to continue to be moving into the house. We are doing house moving into between shows, and there's just never enough hours in a day when you're working full time. Then when you get home and you do what you got to do to make sure that the kids are fed, and then it's like you get a couple hours of mad work to start, putting stuff away. And it gets even worse when you try to put stuff in a room and then decide that, maybe this room doesn't work out. We got to move into the other one.
No, I don't like that. I don't like that moving furniture 3 times thing. I really don't like it. And I do not like moving heavy furniture upstairs.
Yeah, much like I don't like moving heavy furniture downstairs either.
If a little bit of advice, if you are moving one of those fold-out couches downstairs, always be on the high end.
Oh yeah, definitely. Or just have a window that you're willing to throw it out of and burn the remains of it.
I'm totally cool with that. I think fold-out couches are a first floor proposition only. I got a gun show that's coming up this next weekend, and it's very, very local to me. It's the town where the 2 Walmarts are at. So I can get to, you know where it's at.
Yeah. It's got a good Walmart and a not so good Walmart.
It's got an HEB plus and an HEB minus.
There you go. Yeah. Well, actually, a little programming note. I will be actually having an outpatient procedure done tomorrow. It should last about 15 minutes, and I should be sitting at home with a sack of frozen peas on my giblets. So yeah.
Are you getting that done? Good job.
Sure enough.
I do not need any pictures texted to me.
I'm not going to be in any mood to take pictures, that's for sure. But the good thing is that the doc assures me it should take about 3 2-pack songs before I'm out. One of those was going to be All Eyes on Me.
I really don't like the fact that the guy who would be down there with a soldering iron is listening to Tupac. I really don't like that.
Hey, whatever gives him a steady hand, you know what I mean?
That's what I'm thinking, man. It's got a heavy drum beat to it.
Yeah, as long as he's not trying to dance to it, I'm okay.
What if he gets in for a scratch?
Oh, I'm going to be hurting, that's for sure.
I don't know, man. I just stand in front of the microwave every day for about 3 minutes.
Take us out of here, Michael.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Stick around and Much Better Radio. This is coming up. Everybody, subscribe. Play.
Patriot